Hare Krishna all. Welcome to Shubhamangala Arati Japa session. Now we'll start with short Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today we'll be discussing from Canto 1, chapters number 17, verse number 42. I'll share my screen. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, verse number 42. वृषस्य नष्टांस् तृणपाधान् तपः शौचं दयम् इति प्रतिसन्दाद आश्वास्य महिं च समव्रदयात्. Whatever meaning. Whatever meaning, translation, and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vrishasya, of the bull, the personality of religion, Nasthan, lost, three, Padan, legs, Tapah, austerity, Saucham, cleanliness, Dayam, mercy. Iti, thus, Pratisandade, re-established Asvasya by encouraging activities, Mahim, the earth, Cha, and Samvardayat, perfectly improved. Translation. Thereafter, the king re-established the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth. Purport. By designating particular places for the personality of Kali, Maharaj Parikshit practically cheated Kali. In the presence of Kali, Dharma in the shape of a bull and earth in shape of a cow, he could actually estimate the general condition of his kingdom, and therefore he at once took proper steps to re-establish the legs of bull, namely austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. And for the general benefit of people of the world, he saw that gold stock might be employed for stabilization. Gold is certainly a generator of falsity, intoxication, prostitution, enmity, and violence. But under the guidance of a proper king or public leader or a brahmana or sannyasi, the same gold can be properly utilized to re-establish the lost legs of the bull, the personality of religion. Maharaj Parikshit, therefore, like his grandfather Arjuna, collected all illicit gold kept for the propensities of Kali and employed it in the Sankirtana Yajna as per the instructions of the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we have suggested before, one's accumulated wealth may be divided into three parts for distribution, namely 50% for the service of the Lord, 25% for the family members, and 25% for the personal necessities. Spending 50% for service of the Lord or for propagation of spiritual knowledge in society by way of Sankirtan Yajna is the maximum display of human mercy. People of the world are generally in the darkness regarding spiritual knowledge, especially in regard to devotional service of the Lord, and therefore to propagate the systematic transcendental knowledge of devotional service is the greatest mercy that one can show in this world. When everyone is taught to sacrifice 50% of his accumulated gold for the Lord's service, certainly austerity, cleanliness, and mercy automatically ensue, and thus the lost three legs of the personality of religion are automatically established. When there is sufficient austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, naturally Mother Earth is completely satisfied, and there is very little chance for Kali to infiltrate the structure of human society. Hare Krishna. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते. तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, in today's verse, we will be discussing a few points on how, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, I'll just read the translation again. Therefore, the king re-established the lost legs of personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth. Okay, so today we will see how Maharaj Parikshit, how did he re-establish the lost legs of the bull, and how it what are the activities that he performed to improve the condition of earth. So in the purport, as we can see, Srila Prabhupada has written that Parikshit Maharaj basically cheated Kali. So how did Maharaj Parikshit cheat Kali? So if you think on this lines, right? If you see, Kali came asking for shelter in his kingdom. And Maharaj Parikshit was so merciful that he gave shelter to Kali. We all know he gave shelter in 4 places. That is where there is meat eating, where there is intoxication, and where there is illicit sex, and where there is gambling. So these 4 places he gave him the place to reside. So if you see on this point, Maharaj Parikshit did not cheat Kali. He came asking for shelter, and Maharaj Parikshit gave him shelter. So how did he cheat? Is um, Maharaj Parikshit gave shelter, but what did he do? He made sure that there is no such place in his kingdom where these activities are being performed, right? So, when you're, suppose, take an example, you're going for a war, you're declaring war against your enemy. So, when one is declaring war against his enemy, what does he do? He first analyzes who is the enemy. He analyzes what are the weakness of the enemy, and he strategizes in such a way that he can he comes to know what is the weakness of the enemy, and he tries to focus, the warrior tries to focus on the weakness, and in that particular way he tries to defeat his opponent, right? So similarly here also Maharaj Parikshit has declared a war against Kali. And how did he do it? He analyzed the situation of his kingdom, and he made sure that these places where he is given to Kali, they are actually not present in his kingdom. So what did he do? He told the citizens of his kingdom to indulge themselves in performing devotional service. So when once Krishna is been centralized, automatically the effect of Kali is been nullified. Right. So when more of bhakti is being performed, in that case, all these four regulative principles are automatically taken care of. One does not have to make a separate effort to make sure that the four regulative principles are being followed. When one starts performing devotional service, it is made sure that the four regulative principles are followed. And that is how Maharaj Parikshit cheated Kali. He gave place and made sure that there is no such place in the kingdom. So this Kali was so intelligent. We have seen in previous verses that how he came back and he told that there is no such place in your kingdom. And that is when Maharaj Parikshit gave Kali a place to reside, another place, fifth place to reside, and that was gold. So why did Maharaj Parikshit choose gold? That is because even in this gold, that is this accumulated wealth or gold, things that Prabhupada has mentioned, there is falsity, there is intoxication, there is prostitution, enmity, and violence. So if you see, all these four regulative principles are there. Go. So where gold is present, all these things are present. So all these, basically all the four regulative principles are being broken where gold is there. So that is the reason why Parikshit Maharaj gave the place such as gold. So gold was another thing which Maharaj Parikshit gave for Kali to reside, because there is falsity, there is intoxication, lust, everything where there is accumulated gold. So, but Prabhupada also mentions that, but if the leader is perfectly trained, he is following the Shastras, then the same gold, which has all these, which generates falsity, which generates lust, intoxication, the same gold can be used in the service of the Supreme Lord. So we can see there are various examples where people had so much of money, so much of wealth, and what did all that get them into? So if you think on a general note, right, when one starts accumulating wealth, when one starts getting too much of wealth and status and all that in the society, what happens? He ultimately, with the knowing knowledge of the person or not, he starts accumulating pride, right? He starts thinking that he's the best person. He gets this, he's basically boosting his false ego. He thinks that he's the ultimate controller, and all these falsity starts building up, and even lust becomes more. So how much ever he tries to accumulate, it is never satisfied. So you can see, the richest person in the world, right, whoever is currently holding that position, what does he do? He always tries to accumulate more and more of wealth. He's already been the richest person, but still he's trying to accumulate more and more of wealth. Why is that? Because he wants to maintain that position. His desires and his senses never gets satisfied, That is how wealth is. It brings in that lust, that desire to accumulate more and more. So what does that richest person try to do? He tries to see that his position is being maintained in that Fortune 500 companies, or he appears in the Forbes magazine. So he tries to do all of this. He tries to, even though he has accumulated enough wealth, he tries to accumulate more and more, right? So that is what he does, and that is what wealth does to people. So similarly, you can see even in case of Hiranyakashipu, he what does Hiranyakashipu mean? Hiranya, in his name itself, it is given that Hiranya means gold and Kashipu means a soft bed. So you can see how Hiranyakashipu was so puffed up because of the wealth he had. He had so much of gold that he started building golden staircase to heaven, to Swargaloka. He started building golden staircase, and this gold that his entire palace was decorated with gold. And what did this? So there is so much gold present that he got that falsity, that pride, that Vishnu is his enemy, and Hiranyakashipu, he is the controller of this world, and people have to stop worshipping Vishnu. And what happened? He declared a war against the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he got killed. So that gold got pride and falsity in him. And what happened? It was the main reason for his destruction, right? So that is how gold is so dangerous. It boosts the pride and false ego. It's like you're feeding food to your false ego and pride. So that is what accumulated wealth can do. But if the leader, if that is what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, if the political leader, he has taken proper guidance, and if he has read the Shastras, and if he's taking the guidance of a guru, then he will know the right way of utilizing all this wealth in the service of the Supreme Lord. So you can see, I was hearing from Radhesham Prabhu. He was giving he gave an example of Chanakya Pandit. So how Chanakya Pandit was a minister in the court of Chandragupta Maurya. So people used to always wonder why Chandragupta Maurya used to always listen to the advice of Chanakya Pandit. He used to never question. He used to never ask, why have you made this particular decision? What is the logical reasoning behind this particular decision you have made? So people were wondering that. So that is what Radhesham Prabhu was telling. So why was Chandragupta Maurya listening to Chanakya Pandit was because the way that he presented himself, the way that he followed all the shastras and everything. So Radhesham Prabhu was telling that once it so happened that a person had to a person had come to meet Chanakya Pandit, and he asked the villagers the in the kingdom as to where is Chanakya Pandit, and this person would be thinking that he's a minister in Chandragupta Maurya's palace. So he will be in a very big house, like the similar way, because he's a minister, so he'll have a very big house and everything. But the citizens of the kingdom, they direct him to a forest, and in that forest there would be a small hut, and inside that hut Chanakya Pandit would be sitting, and he would be going through some of the documents. He would have lit a lamp, and he would be going through the documents. And once he comes to know that this person has come to meet him, he invites him inside, and and what he does, he turns off the lamp, and then he gets up from that place, and he goes, and there would be another lamp. He gets that lamp and he lights it up. So this person who would have come to meet, he asks Chanakya Pandit, you had already lit a lamp, then what is the reason? Why did you burn it? Why did you turn it off? So Chanakya Pandit tells that that lamp was given by the government. The oil that goes into that lamp, for that lamp, the money is been given by government to me, and I cannot use the lamp that is given for government service for my personal benefit. You have come to meet me, so it's my personal thing. So for that, he gets his own lamp, for which the oil that he is putting is from his own pocket, that has not been funded by government. So Radhesham Prabhu was telling how people back then, they valued the resources. So that is what people learned from Chanakya Pandit, right? So the people learn more when they see rather than when they hear it. So when one person see, when the citizens of the kingdom see that the king is following, then they learn by seeing it, right? So that is what Chanakya Pandit, he showed it by example. So he was abiding to all the rules and regulations mentioned in the Shastras. So it automatically made Chandragupta Maurya to listen to Chanakya Pandit. So that is how a leader should be. He should lead by example, and that is what Parikshit Maharaj is also doing. He declared a war against Kali, and what did he do? He equipped himself. How did he equip himself? He did Sankirtan Yagna. He followed the footstep of his grandfather. So I was hearing in a lecture how Arjuna, he was sent by Yudhishthir Maharaj to collect all the wealth for Ashwamedha Yagna. So all that illicit gold, illicit wealth that was there, Arjuna collected all of them, and he used it in Ashwamedha Yagna. So that is what Prabhupada is also mentioning here. He employed it in Sankirtana movement. So they anything that Pandavas performed, they kept Krishna in the center, and whatever they had, they used it in the service of the Supreme Lord. So that is how a devotee is. He uses everything in the service of the Supreme Lord. So if you see here, gold is a symbol of falsity and pride. But when the same gold is used in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that gets purified. So we have seen many places, right? How even anger, in that case, Hanuman used his anger in the service of the Supreme Lord. So everything, anything and everything, when it has been used for the service of the Supreme Lord, it becomes a transcendental. Even if it is material, even if it is on a material platform, it becomes transcendental. So here another point that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning is how one has to divide his wealth. So 50% must be given to the service of the Lord, and 25% must be given for family, and other 25% for personal necessities. So if in case any emergency arises, Prabhupada is quoting that you should have some amount of money kept in case any emergency arises. So you can see in case of Sanatana Goswami, we know how Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they were working in the palace of Nawab. They were working for Nawab, and Rupa Goswami, he escapes, but Sanatana Goswami couldn't. The Nawab comes to know that they'll escape, and he imprisons them. And Sanatana Goswami, he would have saved some amount of money, right? And he is so intelligent that he uses this money that he would have saved in case of this emergency. So what does he do? That sum of money that he would have saved, right? He gives some of the portion of the gold coins to the person, to the security guard, to the guard of the prison. He bribes he uses those gold coins and he bribes the security guard, and the guard lets him go. So why did he do that? So that he can go and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is why yeah, the basic thing that I was trying to tell is that some amount of reserve should be kept in case of any unforeseen or uncertainty arises. Then in that case a certain sum of money can be set aside, and it can be used in those situations, and that is why 25% of it must be kept for personal necessities. But in Sanatana Goswami was such an exalted person, even that 25% that amount of money that he had kept for his personal necessity, even that he engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, right? And even Kolavecha Sridhar. Kolavecha Sridhar, I was hearing from Guru Maharaj that Kolavecha Sridhar, he was such an exalted personality that he was a very poor, he was a banana leaf seller, right? And he did not have sufficient money at all. He did not have money to even purchase a new cloth and wear it. So he used to, his clothes were all torn. He used to re-stitch it and wear. So even in such a condition, Kolavati Sridhar, whatever he used to earn, in that he made sure that he set aside a certain sum of money for Ganga Puja. He used to always make sure. So once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Kolavati Sridhar, so that Sridhar, you are earning little, and in that also you want to give something to this Lord. Then Kolavati Sridhar, he replies that even though I'm earning little, it is okay. I want to spend, I want to give something to the Supreme Lord, because He is the one who is giving it to me. We know that verse from Isha Upanishad, right? Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam. So everything is belonging to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we give some amount to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is like we are showing gratitude, right? And Kolavecha Sridhar, he showed it by his own example. Even though he was earning very, very minimal amount, that too sometimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just a minute. So needs to employ that little sum of money in the little portion. He used to set it aside for worshipping Ganga. So I was hearing that how Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he had actually opened a bank account, and he was maintaining a bank account where he used to deposit a certain sum of money in the bank account for the service of the Supreme Lord. And Maharaj tells it to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada comes to know that Maharaj is setting aside a sum of money for the service of the Lord. And when he sees the statement, right, he sees that there are some additional charges that are being cut down. And when Srila Prabhupada asks Maharaj, Maharaj tells that these are the bank charges that they are cutting down because of the service that they are providing. Then immediately Srila Prabhupada tells that, can you please go request the bank to reduce the charges? So Maharaj goes to the bank and he requests if they can reduce the charges, and the bank tells it is not possible. And then Srila Prabhupada, he tells Maharaj that you please close that account. because why Srila Prabhupada tells Maharaj is because that particular charge, it is simply going waste, right? And it is not being utilized in the service of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada made sure that each and every penny was utilized in the service of the Supreme Lord. Every penny that goes out, he made sure that it is utilized to the fullest capacity in the service of the Supreme Lord. So once there is another pastime of Srila Prabhupada, where once one person comes to meet Srila Prabhupada, and when he comes to meet Srila Prabhupada, they will tell that Srila Prabhupada is very busy. And this person asks, then what is Srila Prabhupada doing that he is so busy? Then they tell that he is counting money. And this person, he goes and he sees that there is huge sum of money on the table of Srila Prabhupada. This person thinks, who has come to meet Srila Prabhupada, right? He thinks he's a sannyasi and he's having so much money. What is this? What is he trying to show on to the world? And he starts contemplating all that about Srila Prabhupada, speculating about Srila Prabhupada, and then what happens is he sees that Srila Prabhupada, he takes account of all the money, and then he separates the entire money, and then he gives it to each temple president for different services. And then they see Prabhupada is not left with a single penny. Srila Prabhupada does not have a single penny with him. So there was a huge sum of money, and immediately Srila Prabhupada made sure that it was used in the service of the Supreme Lord. So that is how the pure devotees are, and that is how Srila Prabhupada, by his own example, he's setting example to show us that how even the wealth that you have, it should be utilized in the service of the Supreme Lord. And that is what Maharaj Parikshit is also doing here. He accumulated all the wealth, and he used it in the Sankirtan Yagna by following the footsteps of his grandfather Arjuna. And because of that, he was able to re-establish the lost legs of the bull. So, and these were some of the points that I could take up from today's verse. Thank you all for your patient hearing. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Patitpamana Guru Maharaj ki jai.